Welcome to Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. This is the audio version of my popular monthly free video series on mental skills in motorsport. I'm your host Greg, and I'm here to share with you practical insights and strategies to help you enhance your mental racing performance both on and off the track. So get ready as we dive deep and explore the mindset behind successful racing, and as we look at practical ways that you can sharpen your racing mental skills performance and gain a competitive edge when you go racing. Let's get started. Hi everybody, I want to talk about something that we don't generally talk about. We never really focus on it, but it's an interesting thing when we begin to look at it, how we think about it and how most people think about it. And that thing is the F word, failure. What is failure? How does it make us feel? Why do we feel that? What is it actually telling us? So let's have a look at failure, that thing that we never really talk about. So the first thing I want to just say is fail to improve. And that little phrase is an interesting one, because we should fail to improve. We cannot really improve unless we fail. The problem with getting things right all the time is our motivation to improve, to advance, to drive us forward is less than when it is when we fail. We've spoken many times in our sessions about away from motivation and towards motivation. And the majority of people have an away from motivation. They want to get away from the things that they don't want. It's very difficult, as I've said to many of you in many sessions. A lot of people can't tell you specifically what they want, but they can very easily tell you all the things they don't want. And when we fail, it drives us forward because we want to get away from that feeling. And whereas when people kind of are saying what they do want, it tends to be a little bit vague. So that away from motivation tends to be the stronger one. So failure is quite a strong motivator. So I know I've spoken to many people before about, you'll have one team who works really hard and they improve the performance and they're better than everybody else. So everybody else says, oh, we're failing. Let's work really hard so we can beat these guys. And they work doubly hard to overtake them. And then this team is now failing. So they work really hard. And you get this sort of competitive ladder kind of effect. And that's because failure is a really strong driver. But the thing that failure really is an opportunity. It tells us about something that we can improve. It is not a weakness. It's a signpost that says, hey, you want to perform better? You're in the business of performing? Well, here's something that you're not quite performing consistently at or at a sufficient level at. So this is the thing that you need to pay attention to. So it's a huge benefit to our performance and our improvement in our performance. So when we don't get the result or the outcome that we want, we might think of it as a failure. So failure, how could we describe it? I'm going to look over here because I've written it down. It's failure, we could describe it as the outcome or the results not matching our predictions or expectations from our efforts or actions. Right? So basically, we're not getting what we want. We set out with a particular thing in mind, a particular goal, task, action, result, outcome, and I didn't get that. Now, it might be down to something else, something outside of me. Even that, though, sometimes is in our control. I've spoken to many drivers and riders over the years about finding themselves in situations where they get recurrently tangled up in incidents and accidents. And actually, if we'd actually improved our performance earlier in the weekend, we could have been away from that and minimized the chances of that happening. So there is still something in that situation that we can improve upon in order to improve our chances of getting the results that we want. But failure is the building blocks upon which improvement is built on. It's the thing that points us. It gives, we don't need any thought. It's a clear signpost and it says, hey, look, this thing here is the thing that you need to improve upon in order to get that outcome or result that you want, whether it's performance or an actual outcome or result. And that then allows us to plan. It allows us to focus on the thing or things that we need to do to improve our performance. And failure a single time is a real good learning. Even failing a couple of times is a really good learning. But repeated failings basically just means that we're not paying attention to the right thing. Our focus, we're missing something. And this ties into what Tony Robbins, the infamous Tony Robbins, would say: hope is not a strategy. We have to be wary that the good things, such as self-belief and positivity and the C word, confidence, doesn't mask a lack of skill, ability, or preparation in any other area. The other week we spoke about the difference between competence and confidence, and we don't want to mistake that confidence, because I can go out every weekend and be really confident. But if my confidence is misplaced because I don't have that necessary skill, I'm going to get repeated failures, because hope is not a strategy. It's action. Action is the strategy. If I can plan, I can take action, I can prepare. That is the thing that I will do as a result of my failures, which reduces the chances of me making that same mistake, getting that same failure, that same outcome, that same result again. So we should never look at failure as being a bad thing. It is what they call a teachable moment. If you go into a race weekend and something doesn't go to plan, it's your opportunity at that point to go, right, okay, let me put something into action so that this doesn't happen again, so that I minimize the chances of this outcome repeating itself. But it is about that action again. It's not about the knowing, it's about what you do as a result of that information. There is no failure, there is just feedback, there is just information. I did this, this didn't work. I did this, this almost worked. I did this, now that worked. It's about testing things, taking action, just like setup on a car again. Think about setup. When you're doing your setup, you go out, it's almost there, but we don't view that as failure. We view it as part of the process in getting the perfect setup. And it's the same when we think about our mental skills and our preparation. Don't look at things as failure. Don't look at your results as failures. Look at them as opportunities to go, right, okay, this has happened, so these are the actions that I've got to take to minimize the chances of this happening again. And don't be afraid to look at those failures or those weaknesses. They are opportunities. When you go, well, you know what? I can do this really well, but I'm not that great at that. Perfect. That gives you something to work on now. Whereas if we take the approach of, I'm great, everything's good, I'm just going to go out there, I'm just going to go fast, we're back to this idea of rolling the dice. We're back to this idea of confidence over competence. So examine your failures, examine the things that don't go to plan, and then come up with new strategies about how you can make sure that that doesn't happen again, or you minimize the chance of it happening again. But failure is not a bad thing. It is a teachable moment, and we can really use it positively to our advantage. So that's the idea of failure to improve. Yeah, we need it. So any thoughts, any comments, any questions, of course, just let me know, and I'll speak to you in the next video. And that wraps up another episode of Inner Racing by Motorsport Mind. I hope you found this month's topic valuable in your journey towards peak performance in your racing. To stay updated with the latest content, be sure to subscribe to the newsletter, download the app, and subscribe to the blog. Just visit motorsportmind.com or follow the links.